Hi everyone. Good afternoon. So I got the honour of being able to talk to you a little bit around NFC payments, around what it's actually like to bring something to market properly, to actually get consumers using it rather than just trialing it or piloting it. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of what we've seen in the last 9 months or so since we launched this solution. But just a quick background on Barclays, and hopefully some of this isn't new news to many of you in this room, but Barclays over the last, a number of years has seen itself as an innovator in the marketplace, and periodically we've tried to bring new ideas, new tools, new services to our customers. And generally these are things which have gone down remarkably well, starting with the first credit card, the first cash machine in the UK, but then a little bit more recently, and perhaps more pertinent to what I'm talking about, Barclays in 2007 really tried to break that mold of the chicken and egg, what comes first, the merchant or the consumer, and started rolling out contactless across our entire card base, and tried to make it a standard feature for merchants who were acquired via us. And that led very quickly to thinking, how do we take this further? And some bright spark before my time said, I've got a good idea, let's put it on a phone. How difficult can that be? It generally turned out to be slightly more difficult than we anticipated 4 years ago. But that led to us rolling out the first in the UK commercial NFC service in relation with our partnership and relationship with Orange, or Everything Everywhere as they're known today. And that's a little bit of what I want to talk about for the next 15 minutes or so. So in 2009, Orange and Barclaycard started this partnership, and we had a strategic aim, which was to launch the UK's first NFC commercial payment. So you may have seen some of the advertising, some of the communications around it last year. But one of the first things which we saw, which was very interesting, is that for the first time when we launched this, we managed to begin to get traction in the lives of consumers. So I think as an industry, up until 2011 when we launched, there'd been a lot of talk and conversation in conferences such as where we are today around NFC. What will it mean? Where can we go with it? But for the first time in early 2011, when we started the journey of actually rolling out a commercial NFC solution, we found very quickly that this was something that was beginning to resonate with consumers. And for the first time, we really saw consumer press pick this up, there to be more comments and discussion in discussion boards, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it might be. And that has been incredibly important, has been something which we've built on. I was asked to comment a little bit about the value chain. And let's be honest, it's a very complex one, because there's a lot of people that are involved in bringing together a commercial NFC solution. So for a bank, this has been a change in the way we operate. So as a standalone bank, we're used to doing pretty much everything ourselves. So from the very beginning of a new customer wanting to take a credit card or a bank account or a debit card, right through to them actually becoming a customer and using our services, we're pretty insular about that. We try to own the end-to-end, which, that's where we've been for 300 years. What we found when we were moving into the NFC world is actually that old way to work is not the way which we'd be able to operate in this environment. And the value chain is a complex one, but we believe that there is value for everyone that wants to operate in this chain. And what I want to do kind of straight away is try to debunk this myth that there's a breakdown in communication between banks or mobile operators, that there's no way in which banks and operators or handset manufacturers can work together on this type of thing. Because I think the proof has been in the pudding that actually there is value in the value chain for everyone who wants to play. So, from a consumer perspective, what do consumers want? Well, consumers are telling us they want easy, intuitive, simple ways to pay. Consumers are telling us that today they use their phone for things which 5 years ago were pretty much unimaginable. And so the next step for them to use the phone to actually pay for stuff actually isn't that much of a big step from where we are today. Similarly, merchants are telling us that they want easy, simple, and intuitive way to accept payments. They want speed. They want to reduce the cost of cash. They want to reduce the cost of cash handling. They want to make it easier for their staff and the shopkeepers who have to manage the payment solutions. And similarly, for a bank, well, what's in it for us? So if our customers are telling us that they want it to be made easier for them to make payments, then that's something which we want to deliver. And then finally, for our partners, and let's take a M&O or a carrier as an example in this circumstance, our partners similarly are looking for ways which they can extend the relationship with their customers. So there is something in this value chain for everyone that wants to be involved in kind of NFC payments and in contactless payments, and the partners can work together. However, equally, let's also be honest, there's not a lot of money in payments, especially when you're talking about contactless payments. So if you earn, say 60 basis points on a less than £15 transaction, or less than £20 as of next week, you've got to do a lot of payments, let's face it, to make any money out of this. But what this does allow us to do, by providing relevant payment services when people are on the move, accessible via your mobile phone, it allows you to really kind of have a deeper and more interactive relationship with your customer. And I know that the use case, which is probably overused in this circumstance, is about the delivery of offers, discounts, vouchering, and couponing to customers. And we see that as just one of many opportunities to deepen our relationship with our customer. And that opportunity to deepen your relationship with your customer extends throughout this whole value chain which we're talking about here. So is there something in there for everyone in mobile payments? Yes, absolutely, there is. And should there be any blockers to partners working together in this scenario? No, there isn't. If everyone goes in it with an open mind and can get around the table and to come up with a model or solution that works for everyone, then the opportunities are absolutely there. So we believe that consumers are ready for NFC. The awareness of NFC in the research which we've done and in some of the trials we've done and now in the commercial launch we've done is growing pretty much exponentially. The big question for me is not, are the consumers ready? The big question for me is the industry ready? So some of the things which we've seen, 2 out of the 3 customers wanted to use this on an ongoing basis. We found that once a customer has installed the NFC solution and the app on their phone and using it, once they've used it a number of times, 3 or 4 times, they become habitual users. That's not bad for a new technology, which is, and a lot of this around educating our customers at the same time. Very interestingly, 50% of our customers who have used the NFC service say that that will then influence their choice of the phone which they're going to purchase next. So again, that's telling us that customers, when they get used to it, they enjoy the service, they become habitual users, and that's going to drive their behavior into their future purchasing decisions around phones. And then finally, and importantly for both us as a bank and for merchants as well, the majority of customers did believe that NFC was faster than using cash. Now, I appreciate that 2 seconds or 3 seconds you might save as part of a transaction means that as a consumer, you have to be pretty rushed for time for that to be significant, but it's the convenience side of it as well. So there's a speed side of it, but there's a convenience side of always having your phone with you. But as I said, the consumers are ready, but is the industry ready? And I think this is one of the important things which we wanted to discuss today. Potentially, yes, but there are some issues. Merchants. So Visa have said that right now, there's 100,000 terminals in the UK marketplace, and by the end of this year, we believe there's going to be 150,000. So the number of terminals is growing very quickly, which is great. We've got no problems with that. We'd just like for it to grow a little bit quicker. Because customers who are using our contactless and NFC services today, as I said, the ones that are becoming habitual users are now talking to us and saying, it's great, but I want to use it more. I want to use it in more places. Issuers, so Barclaycard and Barclays have pretty much led the way in the UK today in terms of putting NFC and putting contactless into their cards and now into their phones. There's been some recent announcements which has been fantastic to see. So HSBC, I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, announced that they were starting their rollout. Similarly, Lloyds and RBS, I know, have been doing rollouts to specific segments or specific areas of the UK to their population. That's great, again, and something which we absolutely welcome. However, I think we need to just make sure, or try as best we can, to get conformity in rolling out contactless, so this becomes a standard solution which everyone customer, whatever bank you're with, can recognize and can use. Other handset manufacturers. So today, we recognize that using a card to make an NFC payment or a contactless payment is a good customer experience in terms of what it can give the customer of speed and convenience, but it's not hugely differentiated from making a chip and PIN transaction if you're a customer, if you're a consumer. When we put NFC or contactless onto a phone, suddenly you have a new channel and you have the ability to create a differentiated experience, which you can't necessarily do on a card. We believe in Barclaycard that that is an opportunity and a big opportunity to create a new experience and something that can really resonate strongly with the customers, because it leads towards the vision, not necessarily my vision, but the vision of the industry of you can use your phone for everything. You can leave your wallet at home. You can leave your car keys at home. You can leave this, that, and the other at home over the next 10 years. And being able to create that differentiated experience, which you can't necessarily do on a card, is going to be key to the adoption of NFC. Transit. So, in fact, I'm just going to take transit and incentives together. So, if you look at successful contactless rollouts across the world, so I'm really just talking about the Far East, so Japan, South Korea most predominantly, both of those countries have been predicated around transit and incentives. So we're incentivizing customers to use the service, and you can use it for when you've got to get to work and back. So getting to work and back means you're making 4 taps in one day. We know you have to do 3 taps to get someone used to something. So one day, and you've got them used to it. So transit and incentives are a proven model to really drive contactless and NFC. And I know that the markets are slightly different in the Far East to here, but there are learnings which we can take. As we all know, TfL have announced in the capital here that they will be rolling out EMV contactless payments onto TfL, onto the buses this year and tubes next year. However, anything we can do as an industry to accelerate that, because it's going to just really help drive the industry forward, and that's proven, and I think that's very important. The final one which I have on this is bridging. And a couple of examples of what we see as bridging, pay tag and pay band. Whether you like the adverts or not, we can debate that later. So pay tag, the one that sits on the back of a phone. So for us, pay tag is great because it gets customers used to using their phone to make a payment. Yes, it's not true mobile payments for all those mobile payment geeks such as me who kind of like to see everything embedded in a nice SIM or in a nice phone, and I think, we know the utopia on that one. We know where we want to get to. However, for the vast majority of people out there in the UK today, they don't have the opportunity to do that. They don't have a phone such as this that has NFC, and the lifestyle for upgrading phones is average tenure for a phone is, 18 months, whatever it might be. And then even then, not every manufacturer, as we know, is putting NFC on the phone today. This gets customers used to making NFC payments today. It gets people used to using the phone and making tapping behavior beyond just a card. And equally, Payband, which some of you may not be aware of, but it's these contactless wristbands, which are being designed for the Wireless Festival this year, for us, is very important because it's the relevance of it. So we have identified an actual consumer issue which this provides a solution for. And I think as an industry, when we talk about contactless and when we talk about NFC, we get accused quite a lot of creating a nice solution that doesn't have a problem. But what we're doing with Payband is actually there's a problem there to which this is a solution. And the problem is that you get 150,000 people in a small packed area in Hyde Park going to buy beers or confectionery items or whatever it might be. You see queues all around the place. There's crime happens in that environment. And the Payband can solve many of that, and it can also solve issues such as access, because it can act as an access band, an access tag as well. So again, we see bridging as being highly important to getting customers used to making payments and using NFC. Finally, I was asked to talk a little bit around what some of our learnings have been across everything which we've done in the last 3 or 4 years, across contactless, across mobile NFC payments, and across some of the bridging technologies which we're bringing to market. Challenging existing processes. This is obviously one that is very important to me as working for a bank. We do not necessarily have a reputation of bringing things to market quickly. Things take a long time, especially in financial services, to bring secure and relevant applications into the marketplace. And it's up to us to challenge those processes to make sure that we can deliver those solutions to the marketplace quickly so we can get the market moving very quickly. Equally, the industry moves very quickly. When we are interacting with mobile payment, with mobile companies, with carriers, with operators, new phones come out very quickly. And the world moves on very quickly. Now, this is very different for us because we might produce one new credit card every couple of years. Suddenly, we're having to put our mobile payments application on 10 new phones over the course of a month. And we don't have the luxury of waiting 6 months to be able to do that perfectly, because by then that phone which we've put it on is going to be off the shelf. The third one is the consumer is king. So what I'm talking about here is customer experience. If there's one thing which we learned, it's that simplified customer experience, consistency and simplicity in communications and in messaging to get that awareness across to customers, to get that education across to customers is absolutely critical. So we've seen a number of new entrants, new solutions that have come into the payments market over the last couple of years, digital payments, mobile payments, online payments, whatever that might be. The ones that seem to do well, from what I can tell, are the ones where it is actually pretty simple for customers to understand what it is that they're using. It's got an easy value case for customers to understand, and it relates to their lives. The ones which seem to be struggling, from what I see, are ones where actually it's pretty complex for the customer to even understand how this payment solution makes their life easier, let alone understand how and where they can use it. So simplicity is king, and making that customer experience really clear and intuitive is equally important. And then finally, as I've already touched on, partnerships is absolutely critical as well. We've had a strategic relationship with Everything Everywhere, or Orange now, for 3 years, give or take. And that's really been predicated around having a joint vision, shared objectives around bringing something truly incremental and different to the market. And hopefully what you'll see over the next few months is going to be some new things coming from us and Everything Everywhere in terms of new handsets, really moving this into mass market. And that's borne out through the strength of some of our partnerships with Orange, and also the strength of some of our partners who have been helping us deliver this. So Mastercard, Gemalto, companies such as that, which has been so heavily involved in helping us develop this. So those are the 4 things which I've taken away as the key things which is going to drive this market forward. And I think just in summary, for us, we see that 2012 is a critical year. There's some great things going on in 2012, not least the London Olympics, which is going to be fully contactless, not least in terms of some of these solutions coming to mass market phones, coming to the Androids and coming to other, into the hand of the mass market. So this is the year, hopefully, for NFC. This is the year for contactless. and hopefully there's a lot more to come over the next 6 months. Thank you.